نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are continuing our understanding program of Quran, starting from verse number 61 to verse number 66 of Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ, and recall, قلتم, when you said, Ya Musa, O Moses, لن نصبر على طعام واحد, how long are we going to endure on a single kind of foodstuff? فادع لنا ربك, so supplicate your Lord on our behalf, يخرج لنا, so that he brings forth for us, مما تنبت الأرض, out of what earth produces, min bakliha, the vegetables, wakisaiha, and cucumbers, wafumiha, and garlics, adasiha, and lentils, wabasaliha, and onions and pulses. Moses said, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي, O people, are you trying to exchange huwa adna billati huwa khair, small things, petty things, for what is best and good? Ihbitu Misran, enter this township. فَإِنَّ لَكُمْ مَا سَأَلْتُمْ, there you shall find what you are asking for. وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ, then what happened? Humiliation and misery befell them. وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ مِنَ اللَّهِ, and they drew Allah's anger and wrath upon themselves. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ, this was because they used to deny or give lie to the message and commands of Allah. وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ, and they used to slay or kill the prophets of Allah بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, without any right. ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَّوْا, and this was for their total disobedience. وَكَانُوا يَعْتَدُونَ, and because they used to cross all limits. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, verily those who have believed, وَالَّذِينَ هَادُوا, and those who are Jews, وَالنَّصَارَى, and Christians, وَالصَّابِئِينَ, and Sabians, مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, whoso believes in Allah and the last, وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and the last day, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and does good deeds, فَلَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ, for them is great reward with their Lord. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, there shall be no fear upon them, وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, nor shall they grieve. وَإِذْ, and recall, أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, we took a covenant from you, وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ, and we raised Mount Sinai over you. خُذُوا, we commanded you, take hold, مَا أَتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ, what are we are giving you with strength. وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ, and remember what is therein, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you become pious, righteous, and God-fearing. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ, then you turned back, مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ, even after that. فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ, if Allah's favors and His mercies would not have been upon you, لَكُنْتُمْ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, you would have been among the losers. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ, and certainly you know those people, اِعْتَدَوْا مِنْكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ, who crossed limits regarding Sabbath law. فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ, and we told them, we conveyed to them, كُونُوا قِرَدَةً, we commanded to them, كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ, be apes, despised and rejected. فَجَعَلْنَاهَا نَكَالًا, and we made this event a sort of deterrent, لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا, for people of that time, وَمَا خَلْفَهَا, and for those two who came after them, وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and we made this event as an admonition for God-fearing people. Sadaqallahul Azim. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ, and remember when Moses said, you said, O Moses, and again about this event we should remember, it's again the same story, that children of Israel under the leadership of Moses are moving around, traveling through Sinai desert. They are heading towards their promised land. That's Palestine or Egypt, Palestine, which was part of Syria then. But since they showed so much disobedience, all favors were given to them. They were provided man and quail as heavenly sustenance. Water, 12 springs were created for them so that they could drink water, plentiful of it, and shade of clouds over them so that they are saved from the heat of sun. And these and many more favors, like they were provided divine guidance through revelations, and greatest favor with them was that Allah's prophet Moses was with them as leader, and he was guiding them. But since they were so ungrateful, still they used to show disobedience to Moses as well as to God. That disobedience, they had to suffer for this. That means the journey, which would have normally taken them maybe a few weeks, traveling through Sinai Desert, it would take them a few weeks or a month or so. Since they showed so much disobedience to Prophet Moses, and they didn't follow Allah's commands, out of punishment, Allah, the Almighty, made them to wander through this desert, Sinai Desert, for 40 years. This was a sort of divine punishment upon them, that they lost their way. Instead of moving towards north, they moved towards south. And they used to circle around, and it took them 40 years to wander. And during that period, they had to wander, they had to suffer. It was because Allah forgave them once, twice, many times, dozen times forgave. But when they always used to show this kind of disobedience and willful disobedience, without having any cause, no reason, no argument, but still they did show some arrogance and disobedience. They had to suffer. It is during this journey, when they were provided heavenly food in the form of manna and quails, but their ungratefulness at its climax. That instead of being grateful to Allah and Moses, that in such trying circumstances and hard journey, they are being provided food, shelter, and the clouds and water, everything. They were not still grateful. They started asking Moses, "Oh Moses, how long are we going to endure on single kind of food, manna and quails? So why don't you ask Allah? Why don't you ask God, so that He brings forth from this earthly produce, different vegetables, cucumbers, lentils, then garlics, pulses, onions, and other things, worldly things." So this really hurt Moses. He was so sad. He was so shocked. He said, "Oh people, what kind of people you are? How ungrateful you are, that you are rejecting the divine favor. That is the divine food, the food you are being provided through manna and quails. It is not just a food. It is some kind of great mercy and favor upon you, because it's a gift from God. So instead of being grateful for this gift, Allah, God Almighty, Allah the Almighty, you are rejecting this divine food and heavenly food, but you are insisting on worldly foods. Okay, now God has told me that enter some township, enter some place. You shall get all kinds of foods you are demanding, but not mercy, because you reject God's mercy, His favors, His bounties you are rejecting. So Allah is going to now send upon you wrath upon wrath. You will be despised, you will be humiliated, you will be subjected to poverty, because you are not grateful to God Almighty for all the favors He has been bestowing upon you. So this happened. This is this crux of this verse number 61, which we are trying to study today. In the light of this, it will become easier for us to understand this verse. وَإِذْ, and recall, قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى, O Moses, while traveling through Sinai Desert, you asked Moses, "Ya Musa, O Moses, لَن نَصْبِرَ عَلَى طَعْمٍ وَاحِدٍ, we're not going to endure on a single kind of food. فَادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ, so supplicate your or beseech your Lord lana, on our behalf, yukhrij lana, so that He brings forth for us mimma tunbitul ard, out of what earth produces, min bakliha, vegetables, wa kisaiha, and the cucumbers, wa fumiha, and garlics, and wheat, wa adasiha, and the lentils, wa basaliha, and onions and garlics." Qala, when they start asking for all this, Moses said, really in a sad condition and so shocked, he said, shockingly he responded, said Moses, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ? O people, are you so ungrateful that you are trying to exchange, or you are asking for petty and small things in place of the great favors which Allah has bestowed you through manna and kales and all the favors? So now all favors will be withdrawn and they will be provided what you are asking for, but mercy and favors and bounties. Moses said, Ihbitu Misra, enter this township, enter this country, which was somewhere during the desert journey. فَإِنَّ لَكُمْ مَا سَأَلْتُمْ. فَإِنَّ لَكُمْ, and for you will be what you are asking for, but not favors. وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ. So what happened? They received all the worldly things which they were asking for, but وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ, humiliation and misery struck them. وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ, and they drew upon themselves Allah's wrath and anger. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. This was because they used to constantly reject or give light to the message or commands of Allah. And they were not so responsive to all this. وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, and they used to slay the prophets without any right. This speaks of the history of Jews, because after Moses, when many prophets came to them, they used to remind them about the message of Moses, the book of Moses, Torah, and follow the divine commands. But what they did, some of the messengers or prophets they killed, some of them they threw out of their country, some of them they humiliated and subjected to persecution and torture. It is regarding that when they started asking for worldly things, Moses told them, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. Are you asking for petty and small things for big? Are you trying to exchange the small petty things of worldly favors for big favors and mercy of Allah? So enter this town. فَإِنَّ لَكُمْ مَا سَأَلْتُمْ. Ihbitu Misra, enter this town or the country where you will get what you are asking for. وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ. Then what happened? Humiliation and misery struck them. وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ, and they drew Allah's anger and humiliation upon them. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. This was because they used to give light to and reject the message of Allah the Almighty through Moses. وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, and they used to kill or slay the prophets of Allah who used to remind them after Moses, of course, about divine commands. ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا. This was for their disobedience. وَكَانُوا يَعْتَدُونَ, and this was because they crossed all the limits. They used to cross all the limits of disobedience. So this is about the story. In between, now Quran has a message, special message, that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, verily those who believe, وَالَّذِينَ هَادُوا, and who are Jews, وَالنَّصَارَى, and who are Nasara, are Christians, وَالصَّابِئِينَ, and who are the Sabians. Sabians, has been defined differently. Some people believe about the of course, amongst the commenters of the Quran, they say Sabians are also the people of the book. They were in fact followers of John the Baptist, that is Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam. They were his followers. But whereas some believe that no, Sabians were star worshippers. They were polytheists. They didn't belong to monotheistic faith. So what are it is? Quran has a message. Verily those who believe, and those who are Jews, and who are Christians, and the Sabians. Man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir. Whosoever believes in Allah and the last day. Wa amila salihah, and commits good deeds, performs good deeds. Falahum ajruhum inda rabbihim. For them is their reward with their Lord. Wala khawfun alayhim. For them there shall be no fear upon them. Wala hum yahzanun, nor shall they grieve. So this is the universal message of Quran and Islam, that anybody who accepts faith of Islam, who believes, Quran says, who believes in Allah and the last day and does good deeds, he has his reward, irrespective of the fact that to whatever place of the world, or to whatever faith he may belong to, or whatever color or creed he may belong to. But once he believes in Allah and the last day, he will be delivered. He will be saved from divine punishment. On the other hand, when he shall substantiate his actions He shall substantiate his faith by his actions, but good deeds they'll get full reward from their Lord, and there shall be no fear upon them, nor shall they grieve. Here, one thing is to be taken into account. Some people feel out of cursory study or superficial study of Quran, they say there's no mention of the belief in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. That means they feel that anybody who does good deeds, has faith in Allah and the last day, and performs good deeds, he'll be delivered, he'll be saved, and he'll be rewarded. But one thing is to be taken care, that's not the case, because according to Quran, nobody can be saved from the hellfire or total disaster. Nobody can attain the level of piety and righteousness. Nobody can qualify for God's paradise unless and until he believes, has firm faith in all the messengers, and more so who has believed who believes in the last messenger, that's Muhammad, peace be upon him. So that is also, we can derive that conclusion from this verse itself. Because once we see that Quran says, those who believe, and those who are believers, those who are Jews, who are Christians and Sabians, whosoever believe in Allah and the last day, and do good deeds, for them is reward. But one thing is to be taken here, which is to be understood between the lines, we have to understand that once we believe, okay, this verse is right, if we follow this verse and letter and spirit, we will be saved. But we have to take into consideration, through whom did we receive this message? If we accept this message, that means we are accepting this divine commanded message. Before that, we are believing, we have to put our trust in the person who conveyed this message to us. So, for example, I tell you something, and you believe it. I say this is it. So this means you have trust in me too. So when we believe in this word, that this is right, this is for total safety in the life hereafter. A person will be saved from divine wrath and anger, and he shall qualify for the great reward from Allah. One thing is to be considered, that who conveyed this message to us? It was none other than Muhammad, peace be upon him, to whom this verse was revealed, and he conveyed to us, and we believe it. That means we believe not only this message, but the message bearer, or who brought message to us, that's Muhammad, peace be upon him. So belief in Muhammad, peace be upon him, is inherent. It is hidden. It's here mentioned. But through superficial studies, sometimes we miss this very important point, and we are misled. I have seen many people deriving different conclusions out of this verse. So this verse is to be taken accordingly in total spirit. That's inna alladhina amanu, verily those who believe, walladhina hadu, and those who are Jews, wan Nasara, and Christians, wasabin, and Sabians, man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir, whoso believes in Allah and the last day, wa amila salihah, and performs good deeds, falahum ajrum inda rabbihim, for them is a great reward with their Lord, wa la khawfun alayhim, there shall be no fear upon them. There is no fear upon them on the day of judgment. وَلَا يَحْزُنُونَ, nor shall they grieve, because they will be in a happy state. They shall pass the test on the day of judgment, on the day of accountability. They shall have no fear. And once the results are declared on that day, they have nothing to grieve, because they shall qualify for total bliss, for total and eternal prosperity in the form of God's paradise. Then again, it is in between. Again, Quran, this is some kind of interpolation. Then the story continues about children of Israel while they were traveling through Sinai desert. Quran says, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, and remember, when we took a strong covenant from you, we took a strong وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ, and we raised Mount Sinai over you. خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ, and we asked you, hold firmly what we are giving you, that's the divine commands. وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ, and remember what is therein. Remember these divine commands, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you are saved. So you are saved from the total disaster. Tattaqun also means so that you attain piety and righteousness, so that you become God-fearing and you follow Moses and his Lord. Again, about this verse, again, that's to be taken into consideration what we talked about yesterday. Then when Moses, peace be upon him, came from Mount Sinai, conveying this message to people, children of Israel, that I have received message from Allah, and take this message, follow them. Some of them expressed their doubts. They said, no, how come we are going to trust you and believe in you? How can we see that it was God who gave you all this message? So unless we see God manifestly with our own eyes. So it is regarding that, in connection with that the event which happened, then Moses chose about 70 people from among the children of Israel and took them to Mount Sinai while he received the message and voices. And when still they were in some kind of doubt, what happened? Mount Sinai started trembling, started shaking. The way that these the children of Israel, the leaders who were accompanying Moses, they felt as if this Mount Sinai is going to fall upon them. This was just to show them, number one, that Moses is a true prophet, God is talking to him, and number two, if you still doubt his integrity, his honesty, his sincerity, you will be finished. It is regarding that وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, remember when we took a strong covenant from you, وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ, and we raised Mount Sinai over you, خُذُوا مَا أَتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ, and we commanded you, hold firmly what we are giving you, that is Torah and the laws and commandments, وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ, and remember what is therein, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you are saved from divine wrath and anger, so that you become God-fearing, you attain piety, you attain righteousness, and you are saved from disaster, and you qualify for better state in this world and in the life hereafter. Then Quran says, "Summa tawallaytum min ba'di dhalik," but this is strange, this is shocking. Then even after that you turn back. You watching all this. Now there is no reason for you to doubt integrity of Moses, or the message which we had received through Moses. There should have been no doubt about it. But but still you turned your backs even after that. فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ, if Allah's favors and His mercies would not have been for you, upon you, لَكُنْتُمْ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, you would have been among the losers. You were among the losers. That means it was still that when you still express your doubts, were not so sure about Moses' sincerity, you doubted his integrity. It was enough to finish you off, but still it was Allah's favors, His mercies upon you, that He saved you from total disaster, so He didn't include you among the total losers. So one more, then followed by verse number 65. It is this. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ اعْتَدَوْا مِنْكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ, and you know the people who transgressed or crossed limits regarding the Sabbath law. فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ, and we command them, be apes, despised and rejected. So this is a story. But you should remember, Quran, we should know it well, that Quran talks about historical events. But basically, Quran is not a book of history. So it doesn't give all the stories in a chronological order. What Quran is concerned with is the admonition or the lesson to be drawn from the events which Quran discuss, not the chronological order. So this event which we are talking, reading or trying to understand in this verse 65 and 66 is not during the time of Moses. From all historical records, and after going through in detail about it, it is around 250 years after Moses' time. It is during David's time, that Prophet David or Dawood alayhi salam. It is during his time. And one more thing, this is one thing. And one more thing we have to remember, that under the Mosaic law, a day in a week, that's the Saturday, was considered to be so respectful day, and the day which is to be reserved for all kinds of worships. No worldly affairs, no trading, no buying, no selling, or no fishing, no commerce, no commercial transactions, etc. This day was to be kept exclusively for worshipping one God. This is called the last Sabbath. But here's a mention of a group of people, as explained in the historical records, and in the Old Testament too, that during David's time, because David came around 250 or 300 years after Moses, and he was also a follower of Mosaic law. So that means those people had to respect the law of Moses, the last Torah. Among the laws was the last Sabbath. But there's a community among Jews which lived near seashores, and their trade was just to go for fishing, catch fishes, eat them, and sell them, and derive their worldly earnings out of it, and that was the trade, their commerce. But what kind of people they were? They broke this Mosaic law of Sabbath. they even started doing worldly business and started moving around in sea and catch fish one way or the other, this way or the other, with all excuses. This is about the Sabatullah. When they cross limits, this was just a manifestation of their tremendous disobedience, which was exhibited by breaking this law. That means it was not just breaking a law. This spoke how indifferent they were towards the law of Moses and Torah and God's commands. That this was taken as a great exception by Allah the Almighty, that He commanded them, okay, let you be monkeys or apes, despised and rejected. So they turned into apes. That community, small community along the seashore, they did, who broke this law. Quran says, فَجَعَلْنَاهَا نَكَالًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا. This event we made a deterrent for the people of the time, so that others around this see that anyone who breaks the law, what kind of punishment he can receive from Allah. And it was also some kind of deterrent for the people to follow who could come after. And وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, there is some kind of admonition in this whole event for the pious and righteous people, so that they also get, okay, oh see, Alhamdulillah, thank God we are followers of the law, so we are saved from this kind of disaster or some kind of punishment. This is about this, which happened around 250 or 300 years after Moses' time, which is here. But about this thing we have to remember, it has been variously interpreted or explained. Some commentators believe that the people, that small community about whom the story goes, who broke Sabatullah, they were physically or biologically changed to apes or monkeys, which we call retrogressive evolution. They got changed into physically, bodily, they got changed into monkeys and apes. But there is a class of people, commenters, who believe no, it is just the qualities and the characteristics of apes which they inherited. What happened? That since we know apes or monkeys are the great mimics, they only follow what others do. We have heard the story of that cap seller. I hope everybody amongst us know that they say there was a great cap seller who used to get all the earnings out of by selling these caps. And once he was traveling through a forest and carrying a big basket, carrying all his caps, and he fell asleep. And when he was sleeping, a group of monkeys who were wandering around that forest, they say, they took away that basket and all the caps and fled. And when the poor man woke up, I don't know how far is right, but we can understand the characteristics of apes, how they behave, their behavior. So what happened when the person woke up, the poor man, he didn't find his basket, not his caps. He was surprised because all the livelihood was gone. He was left high and dry. He started weeping a bit in the chest. Oh God, where should I go? But while thinking about his look around, he found many monkeys on the treetops, carrying all the caps on their heads. And this poor man started moving after them, throwing stones with this intention that they'll fall down and I shall get the caps back. But he got tired, totally disappointed, because he could get nothing out of it. There was a wise man, they say, wise man coming during that time. A wise man coming around, asked him, what is your problem? Oh man, what's your problem? He said, see, this is my livelihood. These monkeys, I was sleeping, they took away my caps. Where should I go? I have nothing to earn and nothing to feed my family. He said, don't you worry. What's on your head? He said, this cap, a single cap I'm holding, it's my cap. So he said, okay, take off your cap. He took off his cap, and the wise man said, throw it away. This poor man asked, what, only one cap is left with me. Do you feel that I should throw it away and lose this cap too? He said, no, do it. There's no harm. So poor man did. He took away his cap and threw it. As soon as he threw it, the monkeys, who are the great mimics, they also found this man throwing his cap. They also took their caps and threw them down. And the wise man asked them, go and collect your caps. So this is the nature of this apes. They are great mimics. They follow what others do. They lose their identity. Same way, some people, commentators, feel that this was not bodily transformation into apes or monkeys. Only they were psychologically, or through the behavior they become apes. That means they lost their identity. They lost their faith. they lost their individuality and started imitating and following the creed, the beliefs, the ideas and way of life of others. The same way as today we have lost our faith. We are great mimics. We are turned to apes, Muslim Ummah, following West in any form, whether right or wrong, in our respect, in our dress, in our language, in our culture, in our civilization, in all the wrong things we receive or get through electronic or print media. If some people say it was that behavioral transmission, but while some people believe, no, it was bodily transformation. It is said that even if it was bodily transformation, there's a saying, I don't know, some people who are the experts in the knowledge of or science of traditions, they'll see it, how far it is that they say, once it was asked some companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that if they turned into apes, that group or that community, the apes which we see today are monkeys, do they belong to the same clan, or are they the offspring of those people? It was said, no, it's not like that. Because once they are punished, they don't transmit their characters. All of them died. Even if it was bodily transformation, they lived for some time and then they died. And there's nothing like that we see apes today are monkeys, which are the offspring of those people, not like that. So it is about their story. And you know those people well who broke the Sabbath law or who crossed the limits regarding the Sabbath law. فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ, and we conveyed message to them and command them, كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِينَ, be like apes, despised and rejected. فَجَعَلْنَاهَا نَكَالًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا, and we made this event as a deterrent for the people of that time, وَمَا خَلْفَهَا, and for those people who came after them, وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and we made this event, this story, this what happened that time, a source of admonition for God-fearing and pious and righteous people. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.